Yo, this is Waka Flocka. I recently did a coaching video and I did a giveaway if we reached 30 likes, which we did reach. So I chose the winner for the VOD review that I'm going to be doing now. The L9 Debuna, also known as Default the squad. But yeah, that's basically what we're going to do here. If you guys are interested in Young's coaching sessions, just so you know, the price for a coaching session, like actual coaching session, this is a VOD review, it's different. It's $30. If you watch my stream and you get points, you get $25 because you get 5 discount. You get you get $5 off, so it's 25. And the coaching session usually lasts somewhere around like 2 hours, and it doesn't function quite like this. But yeah, VOD reviews are 10, and then the VOD review is basically what I'm doing right now. And then I have something called play review, which is like 5. And that is basically you have a play or something happen in the game that you want me to look at and analyze and give you feedback on, in particular, like how you should play it or something. Then, yeah, it's basically very simple. VOD reviews are fine. But at the end of the day, I do think coaching sessions are the best. But regular coaching sessions, I'm very skeptical of, which is why I do mine for 2 hours, because we do 2 games in my coaching session. First one, I just watch you play, I note down your habits, what you do, and then the second game, I help you implement them. Because usually in a VOD like coaching session, they'll just go through one game and then tell you what you did wrong, but they won't really like help you implement them in the next game, because then you have to do another coaching session, right? So that is basically why I do 2, because I think that is how it should work and how it's best worked. So, just off the bat here, just look at the runes first. Lethal Tempo, Presence of Mind, Bloodline, Last Stand, Overgrowth, Conditioning, Health, Attack Speed, AD. These are the optimal like adaptive stats or whatever I recommend. This is all fine. Only one I could argue you shouldn't take is Bloodline. But if you find that to be good, then that works too, because Bloodline does give you HP at the end of the day too, so that does increase your tankiness as well as your damage overall. So in terms of like straight up damage, Bloodline will do more damage than Alacrity, but with more attack speed, you're obviously going to do more damage anyway, but like your direct hits are going to do more. As for matchup, Fresh, Samira, this is all fine. And it's hard to tell because this is a VOD and no actual gameplay, but it's important to look at Fresh, like what spells he leveled. And if he did level anything at all. So now we can see that Fresh level is E, which means that you can see the flay here. So you can know if Fresh level is E or Hook. And this is very important to know. Especially if you're playing the support and you want to do some poking or something. But regardless, it's nice to know if you have to hide behind minions or not. Other than that, it is fine. And what he did say with this VOD review is that he wanted to know if he could have done something better to win the game. And the first thing I always look at when people ask those kind of questions is just the enemy team comp in general. Like, this is a team comp you can 1v9 against. Most likely, yeah, actually. There are certain champions that make it a lot harder, like say someone like Mordekaiser. Because he can ult you and like he forces you to change your build. So like 1v9ing when they have a Mordekaiser in the enemy team or like a Vi or something, it automatically becomes a lot harder. When it comes like straight up 1v9. Of course you have 4 other members in your team, but when you're looking at like a solo 1v9, then I like to take the entire comp into consideration. And this here, it's playable, it's completely fine. Samira can be obnoxious in lane. Also after lane with damage and ultimate and a W as well. As long as you play the early game safe, you should outscale Samira and become a bigger threat. You also have a very nice front line here and engage from Zac. So that is something to look for. Like throughout the game when you play, just pay attention to how Zac is playing. Is he inting? Is he doing well? Can you trust him? And if the answer to those questions are yes, then that means that you should try and play around him in the later stages of the game. This obviously worked out very well. And we get the shove. And we can see that Twitch has 1.2k gold, so how he spends his money is also to take note of. I do have the end screen, but I don't remember his items. But we're just going to take gases. And off the bat here, I think core is a bit grief. At this point. Also, the pickaxe would have been better. I'm just going to double check that he actually had money for it. I mean, you should. So you buy core, and then you're like 7 gold off pickaxe. And you buy this instead. So like, even though the core is like, quote unquote, like, not something you want by now. Because you kind of want to, I'm guessing you're going for Bork now. So the thing with Bork is that the earlier you get it, the better it is. Because not only are you a scaler, hyperscaler, or like hyper ADC or whatever, you also have the option of like, or ability to snowball, right? So now that you kind of got a kill and you're up in gold, your CS is fine, like the core's fine, like it's not bad. But you would have finished your blade possibly faster by not going core. But it's still fine, like I'm not gonna hate on it. But I would have liked to see the pickaxe instead of the recurve bow. At least. And if you're going for the recurve bow, I actually would maybe like to see the boots. Because then you're going to be doing more auto attacks. And to do more auto attacks, you also need to be able to keep up with them. Right? So then you need some, like, movement speed. Whereas the pickaxe is obviously going to perform better in, like, the very short trades. We'll go over this in the later stages of the game. Like, this is the point. We'll just go through the entire game. We'll just stop and look a bit. But then we'll go over when I give my entire review of the entire game. Just see how that goes. And you. But the question he did have was if he could have done something to win the game. And obviously another issue when it comes to 1v9 in games. Like, say this volley becomes like incredibly unstoppable, bites like Hullbreaker and just starts split pushing. And the enemy starts taking objectives. And you just start bleeding everywhere. It becomes very hard to like stop the bleed solo. Like, maybe you're the only guy that can stop Volibear. Maybe you're the only guy that can win the objective fights like Dragon, Baron, whatever. So it becomes very like difficult and frustrating to figure out what the right call is in those situations. I've had times where my entire team is topside because they all want to stop Volibear, but none of them can do it. They all end up dying, but we could have won Dragons. So like we would have maybe sacrificed like top lane, like tier 2 and tier 3 in Inhibi even just to get the dragon, and I would have considered that to be a worthwhile thing, because it just allows you to stay longer in the game without having the presence of soul on the enemy team, but also you can just farm topside anyway and just stall out the game a bit, so it doesn't really matter that much. As long as you just play defensive, then Volibear's really not going to be able to end in most scenarios without you guys not being there. Okay. No, you don't. Or not? Oh, yes. Not yes, but oh no. Ra's going fully faulty, which means she's gonna be really squishy. Smear going Tabai. I just want to see what HP she did with. I think we all want to know. Right. Hey, didn't you Oh, it's a scoreboard bug, I guess. Okay. Thank you, right, bro. Okay, so basically it's kill Brian. Yeah. He has 1500 gold, which is enough to finish Blade the Ruined King. So yeah, overall, like this game here, so far you've got a lot of resources. And it's not, like, currently... It's still bad, though. Wait. But it's a scoreboard bug. I'm not sure. We can look at the goal difference. This is a 2k goal there. Like, they have 4 kills now, I think. The Switch has 3 at least. I really liked how you didn't flash out earlier there, and the fact that you just play that fire out as long as possible. Even though you fail flashed, I would have liked to not see a flash at all. For the same reason I've said many times before. Is that your goal, like your ability to like kill people relies oftentimes heavily on your flash. Especially in team fights. So... you dying there is not as bad as you not having flash for the next big fight. So by using flash there, it was perfectly timed with dragon, of course. You will have it back with next dragon, possibly anyway. So in that sense, using your flash there to get over the wall and living would be fine. Because all you would need is like a 10-second stall on dragon and you would have your flasher for the next dragon anyway. Which is where you would like to see the next like big team fight happen. Unless everyone just starts inting randomly now for no reason. And taking random fights for like some random objectives, then that's really what should be happening here. This game should be very neutral now until the next dragon. Or possibly Herald, depending. So if there was a window to flash, it would have been when he did it. But also, it would have probably have been better to just save it there. Hmm. Fresh players like to do this, where they'll bait, throw lanterns in the bushes, attack you or something like this. So you have to be like really cautious that you're not getting ganked. I mean, I don't like seeing that Senna currently sitting on a pink ward and 4 wards, and none of them are placed in any other bushes. Because given the situation where you're just pushing a tower like this and fresh pops everything like that, it will be really nice to have some vision. So if you want to flame the center for something other than taking a kill, I would have asked her to ward, at least. Like, just get some vision in river. Like, just small bits of communication, you know? Can go a very long way. This is probably the first thing in the entire game that I'm really not liking. But I'm just trying to find like a reason to like it. So I pressed there to check how much money he had. And that's Hurricane. And this is where a point would come, like, if this wasn't an offline VOD review, at this point I would want to ask, like, why did you go bot lane as an example here, right? Like, why you're not contesting Dragon? Maybe they would have, like, an answer, like, I don't feel like we could have won it. And that would have been completely a valid answer. Because he didn't have Hurricane yet. So, waiting until it's like next spike before he wants to take a fight or something, it would have been completely fine. But then we see on the second recall here, again he just goes bot lane, right? So I think the biggest thing so far, like that I'm just catching a vibe of now, he's just not grouping with his team. Because at this point here, Zac has proven himself to be a quite decent player. He has an Inter, he's performed well, set up ganks for you. So the fact that now for the past maybe 3 minutes you've just been bot lane playing the game as if you're laning still is really bad. Because you're kind of getting into this point now of the game where you have to do more. So just going bot lane at this point, unless you're like really far behind and you just want to catch up to the game or something, you kind of need to have a bit more presence on the map. You cannot carry the game from the shadows, okay? You need to like show yourself, be certain places. Don't greed like this. Wait for waves to show. Just play the game slow. And wait for opportunities. you almost never want to just open or like stay in front of people. Like it's fine to use your stealth and just linger around. At this point in the game, you almost never want to like palm in front of the enemy's face. In almost any situation. Because it can just end like this. Like, Briar can come over the wall, like, anything can happen. And we can kind of see now how the game begins to, like, fall apart. And for every opportunity that you just let slip, the bigger the gap becomes, right? Like, it just becomes harder and harder to stop the bleed. Because it just grows exponentially. But obviously, the comes to like a set point where you, at the end of the day, you just have to kill 5 players and you win the game, right? But it will become harder and harder. But it's not going to be impossible, because all you need to do is do like one right play and have a decent amount of damage. And even if this worked out, it's again bad. So this is probably like a tilt play. Because after the Baron is gone, your opportunity is kind of gone. So you have your opportunities of like team fights, right? Like after the objective is gone, they have no one else but you to focus, and this just ends up happening. Whereas if they were on Baron only, then this might have worked. But since everything is gone and there's no one else to focus, and we're just ignoring the fact that you kind of ran up into Freshia, because I assume you're a bit tilted at this point, so it's completely fine. But after the Baron dies, then my main point is your next ulti or like fight you should be looking at is when they're pushing your tower. Like you kind of need to plan one step ahead. It's like the next step would be killing Barons. Like planning ahead would mean that you do it before that happened. In a sense. So at this point, you don't have your ultimate yet, and that is fair. Like you ping it to, and that is fine. Like you're aware of the situation here. But just like that, you should also then be aware that right now is the wrong time. Because the next time you would have wanted to do this is when they're grouped mid lane or something, like trying to take a tower. Like imagine, we'll just continue to play the game. And then we'll just see what happens. Volibear didn't buy Hullbreaker, which is incredible since everyone does that recently. And your next spike now is with Titanic, right? And you need about 1200 gold total to finish this item now. So you're about 400 gold off. And you don't have your ultimate yet, which is fair. And this tier 2 tower, given the situation of everything, I think we should let fall anyway. So this fight, we can say it's a bit int. Because it can be a very bad position to fight here, as opposed to fighting here, right? So at that point, you kind of just want to ask yourself, like, what you're willing to sacrifice and when you should fight. But at the end of the day, I think then at least it should have been communicated. Because at this point it kind of just looks like a tilt play and not like something calculated. And even now, you want to ask yourself, when do you want to fight? Right? Like possibly you would have wanted to wait here. Alright, UFF. Alright. So reviewing the entire game, your laning phase is completely fine. I mean, there are obviously things to nitpick at, but just in the broad spectrum of things, it's fine. You make some greedy plays and you get caught. That happens to everyone. But it can be at least prevented to a certain extent by just warding or something. Like if you notice that you have no vision, a good thing to often do is just press tab. Look if your support has wards. And then ask them to ward. Just, and then off the bat, like the first kind of like mistake was your item purchases, like buying the Rika bow. I definitely would have went for the pickaxe, even if I did go the core. But you kind of have to buy the core with the thought of like what you want to do. Like if you want to just continue like playing safe and scaling, it's completely fine. Like against this team composition, where you find just having ganks and getting kills and you don't really look to dominate the lane, which is understandable given like that Samira can be very oppressive and difficult to play against because one mistake and you die. It's completely respectable that you just want to take that approach and just play it safe and scale. So I don't dislike the call at all, but again, I would have liked to see a pickaxe. Not the Rika bow. You shove the lanes. You don't really get punished for anything. Your CS was fine. You get like hard, not most of the time for the entire game. Hey, your recalls were decent. You didn't lose too much XP because your waves were getting fucked or something. Like obviously this is inevitable, but you only lose like 1 or 2 minions, right? And this was like the only big kind of like catch off where you just ran in there. I don't want to play it slow. Like, ask yourself like sometimes the West Briar, like what's happening here. Like you see dragons up, like it's gonna put more pressure on the bot lane here. So just keep that in mind. But overall, like the entire like early game was played completely fine. You did get your items, but in terms of like just carrying the game, you let it slip. You let the game like slip out of your hands by being in the wrong places. Sometimes like throughout this entire game here, like there's no nitpicking in the ultimate. Like most of the times, like here as an example in Samira, it was fine, right? Like, I wouldn't say that you waste your ultimate at certain points, like, could have had better opportunities, like I did with the other guy, where he opened and they just ran away. But your problem was just that you weren't there. You let the game just slip. Like, you had an opportunity to actually do something in the game and have it more in your control. But instead, you just stood in the side lanes and just let the game kind of like just play by. You just let it play out without like really choosing to influence the game much at all. Because the first really big take on this here is you guys killed this dragon and everything here is fine. Like this game is completely fine right now. You get this dragon. This was actually very nice. I like this a lot, seeing this here. Again, the only thing I would have maybe not liked to see is that flash. Like, I would have just preferred seeing you just dying here. Or maybe possibly even, like, saving a flash here. Right. Like, flashing out here after the dragon, again, is fine. But It's only fine because it's gonna be back on the next dragon. But if some random fights happen, which they really didn't, like if we look throughout the game now for the next 5 minutes, like 13 to 18 minutes, like nothing really big happens. And this is like, this game is as stable as it can be. Like there's no people dying every 2 seconds here. Like this game is incredibly stable. Like you're getting to just farm until the next dragon. Like this game is not falling apart by any means. Like it's just very stable in like a negative. A slight negative favor towards you. Like they get a kill top, you get a kill bot. Right? Some towers fall. That's a given. Briar comes here, like they die. Like it's not incredibly unstable. Like Herald here, like they could have foreseen this, like Briar having out, like Herald just play it safe, don't risk it. Because it's always in their hands to do something when they have Herald. Like they're the ones making the plays. Like you just have to like react. So you know something's gonna be coming. So just as long as you play safe for that time of Herald and just react, you're gonna be fine. You end up losing 2 towers here, but again, it's not that major goal differential because it's still like the essential items being bought. So like it is a 5k gold lead, but still you are like even with everyone, and your items are still, in this sense, completely fine. Like the game is of course like going badly, like you're losing top towers, stuff like this, but like it could be way worse for this next dragon. But like in the sense of everything, like this game is very stable. Like you're still trading back, you're not getting like completely slaughtered everywhere. And you had every opportunity to like make some kind of play here. And again, you were missing 100 gold, right? At this point here. Well, your call was complete, right? Well, it did complete now. When did it complete, actually? Oh, it completed its fucking ages. Alright, so you're still missing a bit more money. You have 30 seconds to go. But like, even if you farm this money, like you have to like play with the mind that something might happen on Dragon now. Like you might fight for Dragon, or you have to make the conscious decision that you want to continue scaling and try and keep the game as neutral as possible while giving away small pieces to the enemy. Like the small piece here being Dragon, but otherwise you just don't want to give anything. But given that there's no communication here, or any plan of doing so, you being bot lane here is really bad. Like on most dragons, like my feedback to you is just on most dragons, like after a certain point, you want to just path with your team. Just stay with your jungler, give up like a few farm. Like, you're not using this money. Like, even if a fight happens now, you have 1k gold. Like that, the gold that you're farming now is not giving you anything. Until you press the recall button, go in the store and buy a Hurricane. Especially now, dragon has not been killed yet, and you're still just defaulting back into bot lane. It's understandable that you want to like take this farm and stop Samira, but like just the entire game above you is just slipping away. Like everything is just happening, and you always end up coming too late. And that's the mistake you do throughout this entire game. Like every opportunity, every team fight, everything, even though you have decent spikes, like especially now with Hurricane Tiamat, you're just letting the game slip. You're opening at the wrong times, or getting caught in the wrong places, and you're just losing your opportunity. Like this ultimate here and everything that you used earlier and now could have been used on the Baron. And it wouldn't have been on CD, right? And you would have been able to join the sack into the team fight and have a greater chance at doing something. I'm not saying that you would have won the game, but I do have a feeling that you would have had a chance at least, right? But by just doing these things that you do here, and like everything else, and then again after on the Baron, after it ends, instead of just recalling and waiting for them to push the wave, realizing that it's too late, you end up opening and wasting your ultimate once more, letting another opportunity just slip by. Yeah. And that is the reason why you didn't win this game. It is the reason, that would have been the reason why you, or how you could have won the game. Obviously, the game is very unfavored, like you're doing well, and your rest of your team is not doing too good. But you did get a lot of jungle resources in this game, right? So it's natural that other lanes might lose. And it would be a bit more in your hands. So just throughout your next games now, and for the future, just try and be with your team a bit more, especially when you have your ultimate and objectives are spawning. Like if you have a Sack, as an example, he's a very nice teamfight champion that goes incredibly well with Twitch, right? He has low CC, knockups, etc. And he's just able to set up for you. He's an incredibly nice champion to have when you're playing Twitch. And just getting caught into these positions there and just dying like that while also using your ultimate is just so incredibly bad. So yes, I do think you could have won this game if played better. And if you were in the correct places at the right time. Or at least slightly more better times. And just some more attempts. And not just hiding in the side lanes and just letting every opportunity slip by you as you're farming like a couple of minions for almost nothing. Right, again, like you don't have ultimate, like this is completely fine. But like there are no pings here, there's no communication that they need to give this tower. So there's no thought process here, it seems to me. Like everything just slips. And then again, one last opportunity I have here, just completely wasted on opening on Briar here. At least wait for them to go to these towers, then you might have teammates spawning, right? Or you could have opened here. Like I actually do think if you would have opened there, that you would have had the opportunity or chance to actually do some incredible damage because you have Titanic Hydra. So yeah, just some better insight into like what opportunities you have and what you should do will go a long way for you here. And again, to answer your question, if you could have won this game, I definitely do think so. And I hope you can see now why I think so, and also see the mistakes that you did this game. Other than that, I might do another VOD review giveaway, but not exactly now. So if you guys are interested, then just pay attention to the next videos that I'm going to be uploading. Take care. Peace. Hope you guys continue to have a good morning, evening, night, whichever one fits you like that. And yeah, take care.